Hello, and welcome back to the Nourish with Purpose podcast. It's Bailey, and I hope you're having a great Thursday or whenever you're listening to today's episode. I'm honestly surprised that I was able to have that roll off the tongue so smoothly because it has been about a month since I have recorded a podcast episode, and I'm back. I'm so excited to be back and talking to you. I took an unintentional month-long break. I feel like with Christmas falling on was it a Friday or Thursday? No, it was a Thursday. It just was not the right timing. And then New Year's, and just how that week between Christmas and New Year's is, you don't really want to do anything. And I had client calls and was working on that end. And I'm like, I just can't get something out by the 7th. So here I am. I hope you are buckled in and ready for just a chatty episode. I don't really know where this is going to go, but we're just going to roll with whatever I'm wanting to talk about today. I really want to dive into a little bit of a reflection for 2025, and then also how I'm entering 2026, some personal goals that I have made for myself, some business goals, and not even necessarily what those are in specific, but how you can create intentional goals. And it was actually through a practice that I had done from a podcast that I listened to, which I can maybe, if I remember, link in the description of today's episode so you can also follow along if you're a business owner. I think it's really helpful to have some guidance when it comes to goal setting. It is hard for me to set goals, and I really I'm going to be honest, hate setting goals. And I think that's maybe a negative mindset to have. But for me, I feel like for years and years and years, I've struggled, probably my whole life, I've struggled with not actually celebrating accomplishments. Looking at where I'm at even right now versus last year, I should be celebrating and excited and I should have all these little milestones that led up to where I'm at, but I don't, because I don't keep track of those things. And as soon as I accomplish one goal, I'm moving on to the next thing. And Nathan, my husband, has told me, you need to actually celebrate things you accomplished this year, because he's like, I'm so proud of you and I'm so proud of what you've built and what you do day to day, but I don't see that. So it's just hard when, you don't see that. So I need to be better about goal setting, and I need to start loving and fall in love with goal setting and have some just focus around that this next year. Before we get into that though, I feel like we should do a little bit of a catch up. What's been going on this last month? So we were coming off of, and this is also partly why I didn't record, about 5 or 6 Christmases. We had, I want to say 5 Christmases in a row, and then another Christmas that following weekend. And so we were just with people, we were celebrating obviously, and it was so good. It was good to be with family, have time where my brother's home from college and I live 2 miles from my parents' house. So we're over there often eating, and then just also spending time with grandparents. It was really special. We also celebrated, which we didn't know, well, we kind of maybe assumed would be the last Christmas with my great grandma. She actually passed away earlier this last week, and is something that I've just been really thinking about since her funeral, which was actually on this past Saturday, and just the impact she had. But we had our last Christmas there, which is something that I will obviously cherish forever. It's very emotional, and something that I think is just fun to share is she was actually a great great grandma. Oliver was her one and only great great grandchild. And I just think that's insane, and is such a testament to how she took care of her body at 95 years old. Outside of the last maybe year, I feel like she has been in such good health. And I actually did a Substack post on this, but if you're not following me on Substack, I'll also link that in the description, because that is how I send out my emails and really just my long form content. I tried to get into YouTube. Anyway, I just can't do that right now. So Substack is what I'm doing. I'm trying to write a lot more, and I love it. And I wrote a little bit of a tribute to her just in how she took care of herself. She, like I said, 95 years old. When she, day to day, she would just make full meals for herself. She'd make a protein and a potato and a vegetable, and she really valued having deep, good quality friendships, which is just something that I think we can get so I know me right now of like everybody's busy. Everybody has their own things going on. You don't want to maybe, I don't know, bother somebody by asking to hang out. And I'm never bothered. Like I want to be spending more intentional time with people. And that's just something she did naturally. And she would ride her bike around town up until the last probably 5 years. She would ride her bike and just would show up for things. You know, she was so selfless. I think something I also shared on Substack, so maybe I'm repeating if you read that, but she, at the time she passed away, was reading 4 different devotionals, not just one, 4. And she also prayed over every single one of her family members every single day. You know, her kids, her grandkids, her great-grandkids, and Oliver, her great-great-grandkid. And I just think that's just something that I was talking to Trev about this. Trev is my brother. How that is like one of the last generations that are just so pure in heart and so selflessly give. They don't make excuses, or I don't know, they just maybe aren't as self-conscious. They just do things, right? They're not asking, oh, is it okay if I stop over to see you? They just stop over. Or you can drop in their house and it's not like they're bothered that you stopped by unannounced. They're excited you're there. And that's just such a difference. I've seen that change. I mean, I for sure see it in my generation, but even before that, right? We all have our schedules and we don't leave a lot of time for people just to stop over and see how we're doing. We have to text them and email them, and then not even email, probably mostly just text or call them. And if they don't respond, then we're not going to show up. And instead, it's just like showing up interrupted. And that's something I actually do with my grandma. My other grandma is I'll just show up to her house unannounced, I guess would be the right word. And I think that's something where, I don't know, maybe when you're close to someone, you feel more comfortable doing that. But I think that's just really special. And anyway, she was an amazing person. So at peace knowing that she's with Jesus. And I really didn't think I'd dive into all of this on today's episode, but I thought it was worth talking about because it was just something that obviously has been happening over the last month. And we had our last Christmas with her and then celebrated her life this last week. So I feel like it's just crazy what can happen in the span of a month. And I think that's also why I honestly don't love the new year, because it's overwhelming and it can be kind of scary to think about all that could happen in this next year that we just don't know, right? And it's scary because we don't have control over it. And as somebody who likes to have control, when I don't have control over those things, it just makes my brain go all over the place, right? Like who else are we going to lose in the next year? Are we going to lose somebody else in the next year? What is business going to look like? What is my personal life going to look like? Oliver's going to turn 1 in a couple months, and all these things. It's like, oh my gosh, like time just doesn't slow down. And so I think something I'm so grateful for, and I can't honestly put my finger on what has caused this. Maybe it's the reflection I've done in the game plan that I have that has led me to feel this way, or maybe it's the daily ritual I'm adding in of spending time in my Bible, but I feel at such peace this year. And usually the beginning of the month, I've shared this before, is not a good time for me. I am not doing well in the beginning of the month because similar to the beginning of the new year, I'm thinking about all the 500 bazillion thousand fake numbers that could things that could happen in this next month. And it just almost paralyzes me where I don't want to do anything. I find myself doom scrolling and spiraling, and instead, I'm honestly just vibing. Like my friend had asked me this weekend, like, how's business going? I'm like, I'm honestly just vibing. Like things are going consistently well, and I'm really fine with the pace of life right now. And also being able to spend so much time with Oliver. I feel like during Christmas, just being with a bunch of people, not having a normal routine or schedule, he was a whiny guy. And I know kids just go through that too. But he would just want to be with me all the time. And I mean, oftentimes, like I would just leave the room because he was a lot happier when I wasn't there. And I know it's because I'm like his safe person. Like him and I are basically one, you know, he's like came out of me, obviously, like 10 months ago. Like we are so connected, but nonetheless, it is exhausting when they just want you and cling to you. And so, I feel like we kind of turned a corner probably about 2 weeks ago now. and he is just so fun to be around. And I always love being around him, even if he's not super happy, but wanting to play, not just like wanting to sit on my lap and pull on my clothes. And instead he's just more content and he's sleeping well. And it really makes a huge difference when they're happy too. And it makes me happier. We all get better sleep, which is just a blessing because we need it. And so I've really just had such a special time within the last couple of weeks. And I would say from a work perspective, like I have had maybe a few days that are super full, but I really have like Thursday through Sunday that it's just him and we hang out every day. And it's such an intentional time. Like I try to be very present with him, not perfect. Like I said, if I start to want to disassociate because he's crying or fussing, I will want to scroll and get on my phone. And I desire breaking that pattern because it's not healthy. And also I don't want to see me on my phone all the time. But we've had a great last couple of weeks. And now Nathan is gone with traveling. So I'm really with him. It's him and I. And obviously I have help from my mom, and then he goes to my aunt's throughout the week as well. So a couple mornings a week. So it is helpful to have help. But I feel like we've just had more time together than usual this break, and it's been really good because he's growing up so fast. Outside of obviously Christmas and all of that, this last weekend, I guess I'll get a little bit more present at what's going on. I had a friend over. So when we went to London, my friend Delaney came with us, and she had found this craft on Pinterest where you make kind of like a collage of your trip. So you save, like I saved my Tube ticket, I think it'd be Tube, like their train system ticket. I saved like coasters from restaurants and receipts and all these little trinkety things, pennies that you can smash. And then they have like that design imprinted on them. And then I printed off some photos. So we just really collaged that all together on Sunday. And it was so fun. And it made me just really want to be more crafty. I feel like I am a creative person. My creative outlet has been social media though, which is why like I genuinely enjoy that. And I could sit and edit videos and photos on my phone all day long. And I love that. Genuinely love that, but I don't always feel like it's the most productive use of my time, and I'm also not disconnected. And so that craft and activity was so nice, and Oliver was there. It was good to see like I can still do things like that with my hands, with Oliver being around and being there, and he's okay. It's okay for him to have some independent playtime. And so I just had so much fun doing that, and I'm like, I need to dive back into this. I have a scrapbook for Oliver, and that was something I was really going to do, as does probably every second time mom with every kid. It's like, oh, I'm going to have a scrapbook. And then when it comes time to actually putting things together, I just don't give myself enough time to sit down and be intentional with putting that together for Oliver. So I would like to have that done by his first birthday, but I've also been brainstorming what other hobbies I would love because you guys, I'm a chronic hobbyer. This is how I am in a business sense, actually. This is kind of a light bulb moment. With hobbies, I love the planning side of a hobby. I love figuring out what I need and buying what I need and spending hours in Hobby Lobby and finding something new to do. I love that. That piece of it, the discovery piece, is so fun for me. And then I get all the supplies and I'm like, yeah, this isn't actually as fulfilling as I maybe thought it would be, or oh, but there's another hobby actually that looks more interesting. So then I swerve and I do something else. So that is also how I am from a business perspective, because I love to create ideas. I love to brainstorm. I love to create the visuals and make everything really pretty. And then when it comes time to actually implement, that is not my favorite part. I really just could be a chronic entrepreneur and I would have so much fun with that. If I could come up with a business idea, create all the concept around it, the visuals around it, the branding around it, and then here you go, like take it and run. That would be so fun. I know that is kind of a job, but I don't think with the financial situation, like I don't have millions of dollars to invest in other businesses to do this. However, that is how I am with hobbies. So, long-winded way of saying I would love to learn how to sew well. I do know how to sew. I took home ec classes, and my grandma, I've sewn with her many, many times. But I was talking to her the other day when she came over to see Oliver, and I'm like, I really want to learn how to sew on my own. Like, I'm like, you've taught me so much, and I feel like I've learned a lot of techniques from you, but I feel like I just want to sit down and experiment. I just want to sit down and hem a pair of pants, or there's this really cute happy birthday pennant that you can sew that I'd love to make for Oliver's first birthday. And I really just need to thrift to get some scrap material because fabric is really expensive, and just put things together and have fun with it and sit down and do it and have that replace the evening time where I'm maybe watching TV or watch TV with Nathan, because we do love to do that together. We have a few shows we like to watch, and so while we're doing that, and just have something that I can do with my hands. And she's like, well, perfect. I have a sewing machine in my basement that it's like you can take it with you places. It's not like they have like a built-in one at their house. And she's like, well, you can have it. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want to have it. I just want to borrow it because I want to see if this is a hobby that I could be into. So that's something that, and I also have to remember is I don't have to share everything I want to do either. Like on the podcast, I'm always going to just word vomit to you because it's just what I do on here. But with even like social media and sharing, I was watching this girl and she was talking about having different buckets. And I know obviously that's a concept on social media of like what you post. You should have 3 different buckets. So for me, it's like preconception, prenatal, postpartum, nutrition. It is motherhood, and it is coffee. Like those are kind of my 3 things, and recipes, I guess, in a sense. So, that's kind of like how I would like to view my life of like, okay, yep, I'm a mom. Obviously, I've got household things I need to do, people to take care of in my home. I have a business that I pour many, many hours every single day into, and then I need to have something else to fill my bucket. Outside of just the hobbies that I have, not even hobbies, just out of the habits, that I have, because I have habits to read my Bible and get up and wash my face and get ready for the day. Like all these habits that I did not have and did honestly not think I'd be able to be consistent with into being a mom, into motherhood. But I will say the last, now it's been 4 years that I really tried to prepare, 4 or 5 years. I've tried to prepare my body for pregnancy and create all the habits I needed to be consistent during my pregnancy, and then into postpartum. Like that has served me so well. But outside of that, like I said, having something creative to do. So I would say that'd be a personal goal, is to get more into sewing or even collaging. I feel like that's what I like, is I like to put things together and make them look pretty. Like doing a collage of the trip that I went on when we went to London. That was fun because it was like figuring out, I almost like a puzzle, like how things fit together, how things could visually look appealing. And I think to me that's a lot of how sewing is you're looking at different patterns that go together and different designs you can add in. And scrapbooking again would be and is something I really enjoy. It's more of like that visual puzzle that you're trying to create, which is just, it's really special. I feel like that would be my primary personal goal. I'm going to kind of talk through now. Obviously, I feel like that was like not a very smooth transition, but I'm going to talk through what and kind of how I want to feel. So I feel like if you struggle with making New Year's goals, think less about what you want to do and more about how you want to feel. So for me, I wrote down that I want to feel like I'm doing enough. I want to feel proud of the growth I have when it comes to my business. I want to be intentionally busy and have business with a purpose. I want to feel at peace with how things are falling into place. That's how I want to feel. I want to wake up every day and know if I do these 3 to 4 to 5 non-negotiables, it will lead me to the point that I want to be at. And that can have to do with personal growth or growth when it comes to a business as well. So I also then sectioned them out into personal, physical, and then business. And then I also wrote out hobbies that I would like to start and then events that are happening this year, just so I can think ahead and be looking forward at what is this year going to consist of that I can actually plan for. So when it comes to my personal goals, personal and physical, I guess, is kind of the same thing, but physical, I'm thinking more of like, what do I want my body to look like or feel like, or what do I need to get to that point? So one piece of this that I guess I haven't shared is I did start a 60 days of strength program. I really think this is something I would love to run almost every quarter or at least twice a year. Is like a 60-day program. I did this one now for free, so maybe some of you have even joined it. I have 4 different accountability groups over on Instagram because I had over 80 women sign up for this, which is incredible and honestly blew my mind. I thought it would maybe be like me, my mom, maybe I could convince like my aunt to do it too. And to have 80 women like sign up and be doing this alongside me is really exciting. But I started that because I'm like, I want to feel good. Coming off of 9 months postpartum, like my body has shifted back to how it felt pre-pregnancy, which I'm grateful for. And I've worked, I'm going to be honest, like really, really hard for that to happen. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, like I just laid on the couch and spent time with Oliver and my body just is back to how it was. And that does not need to be everybody's goal. And for some people, sitting and doing nothing does that for them. And maybe it would have for me. Honestly, I didn't give myself the time to know because I wanted to be active. I wanted to build muscle back and I wanted to eat good food. And so all of those things, I'm like now like, okay, I've done the things consistently. I want to push my body physically really hard. And that really came down to, okay, I need to have accountability. I need to have people that, even if they're not depending on me to get a workout in, if I would say, oh yeah, I started the 60-day program, but I kind of fell off week 3. So hope you guys stick with it. Who wants, like, that would just be so, that would not be good, right? That would just be so disrespectful to myself to not pursue it wholeheartedly. And so I did start that, and a lot of the things that I want to accomplish physically are actually going to hopefully be resolved through doing that program. Exactly. So I wanted to share that. It's something where if you're joining now and you're in it now, I'm going to have some sort of offer where you can continue to do programs through me for free if you've signed up this first time and send in like a review or something, or not a review, a testimony that I can use then to share with other women. And I just think that getting back to physical health is something I want to share more about just in general. I am a certified personal trainer. I have my Bachelor's of Science degree in Health and Fitness Studies, minor in psychology. I am a certified integrative health coach. I've done all these different other certifications so that I can do what I do on a daily basis. But that strength piece and that personal training side of me, I used to lead exercise classes, something I put on pause after having Oliver, and I don't know if I'll start back up. I just don't think it makes sense right now, truthfully, with everything else that is going on in my life. So, just the physical piece. And my brother, actually, he is a certified personal trainer now. He's so knowledgeable. He and I, mostly him, created the workout piece. And then I created really the goal setting, how to take measurements, how to map out your progress, everything else. But having a personalized plan has been huge for me. And I'm so grateful that I can also now share that with other women and do kind of this like trial 60-day period and see how things shift. I already feel so strong and sore. I can actually see muscle definition for sure in my upper body that I don't feel like I've always seen. So anyway, I'm getting on a tangent, but physical, obviously kind of same as personal, but different. And that program in itself, if it's something you're interested in doing, keep an eye out because in the future, I definitely want to offer something like that more consistently. So let's get back into the goals. I'm getting off on all these little tangents today. So personal, I would like to spend more time disconnected. I want to spend my Saturday social free. Any social media app, spend it free. Strategically, that makes the most sense for me when it comes to like when people are consuming content and when I'm posting content and things that you don't really care about. But Saturday is the day that I want to just be present at home or doing whatever I'm doing. I don't want to be on any sort of social media. If I lose my phone, that is the best thing to happen to me that day, and that is my focus. I also want to set an AM, I guess. This one I've been terrible with because I've been home into the evenings by myself, and so I just scroll way too long and it's not good for me. But like I said, I love creating content. That's how I feel creative. And so then I just find myself doing that for way too late. But I would like to have 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. be a boundary with no work and no screen time. Outside of watching TV with my red light or blue light blockers, my red lens glasses, because like I said, Nathan and I like to watch shows together in the evenings. And then I also want to think ahead. So this really came because early in November, I went to a Favorite Things Christmas party. And the day of, I was like, I don't have any Christmas pajamas. I don't really have a snack to bring. I don't have a gift to bring. All these things that I needed to have within like the next 2 hours, I didn't have. And so then I found myself in Target literally running around last minute trying to put all these things together. And I hated that. And I'm like, I find myself in this situation way too often and it needs to stop. Like it's so exhausting to always feel like you're 3 steps behind and not thinking ahead. And I know that's because my brain is often thinking about my job. Honestly, that's where my brain is a lot of the time. And so that's what I'm always thinking ahead about. But personal life, I'm not always thinking ahead. So I want to be better about that and I want to plan out the next month. So that's also why I wrote out what I need to, or like what will be happening in the next year that I can actually anticipate so that I can be thinking ahead a month, 2 months ahead. Oliver's birthday is in March. So I need to be thinking about, all right, beginning of February, sending out invites, creating a plan, all the things that come with that. Physically, I would like to become the strongest version of myself this year, which means no baby number 2 this year. Not that anybody was asking, but I do talk a lot about preconception and prenatal health, and I feel like I'm always trying to prepare my body for pregnancy, but that doesn't mean that it is coming anytime soon. I just want to become strong and I want to feel good in my body and what I need to do this. I think that's a big piece of like when you set a major goal, what do you need to do to get there? So I need to be consistent with my 60-day strength program, track macros for 60 days, and assess diet. So my 3 diet changes that I was going to make is remove alcohol, which removing alcohol and caffeine is not that hard for me. So I was thinking back, I'm like, that's really just not that hard to do. But removing alcohol and caffeine, number 1, I want to have at least 1 cup of fiber with every meal that I consume. And then I need to hit 130 grams of protein per day. That's my focus around diet. Step goal would be 8,000 steps per day because it's the dead of winter. But I would say most days I'm getting around 10,000 steps, which is where I would like to be. I thought 8,000 would be a stretch, and I'm finding because the weather has actually been pretty nice, I've been able to get outside, rain or shine, for a walk about 2 to 3 miles almost every single day. And so I think I could increase that goal now as I reflect back. Probably midway through the program, I'll reflect and see daily averages and what makes sense. I also want to rest intentionally. So doing red light on my face for 12 minutes a day and then elevating my feet 10 minutes before bed. Hopefully kind of a habit stack method would either be while I'm reading or doing my daily Bible study. Lymphatic massage while I'm in the shower to help with lymph flow and support my immune system in the winter especially, and then mouth tape each night. Now, I thought mouth taping was the biggest hoax and just such a scam until I did it. And now I am obsessed with mouth taping. I honestly was having the weirdest, most vivid, scary dreams, like demonic almost dreams, which obviously there's like a spiritual side of that. I don't know why that is probably coming through, but I noticed it was likely because of part of the reason was because I was breathing through my mouth at night and I don't feel like I was actually getting restful, deep sleep. And so having my mouth taped it's been a game changer. I also wake up and don't feel like my mouth is super dry. I was having tonsil stones. This is kind of what started it. I was having some tonsil stones and they were so gross. And I was mapping my tongue and I had like this white spot in the back of my tongue, which I know there's internal causes for that. But I'm also like, well, I'm breathing through my mouth all night. Like that's disgusting. And so taping up my mouth, I've seen both of those things actually resolve and improve so much, along with just like I said, getting better sleep and deep sleep. Even if I'm not getting a lot of sleep, if Oliver's up a lot throughout the night, when I am sleeping, it's very deep. From a business perspective, I'm not going to go into my specific goals because I think the vulnerability with business goals is something that I just don't want to share, because everybody else is at their own stage. If you have a business, you're at your own phase and stage of your business. I do have amounts of clients that I would like to get every single month when it comes to one-on-one clients, blood work, and HTMA specifically. And this is really just to help me also get to my ideal salary goal. Business goals, again, now even as I'm talking, like, it sounds so selfish and so superficial, because really I do so much for free or for much less than I should be charging because I genuinely want to help people, and that's what I love to do. So obviously, sharing business goals feels very selfish to also share financial goals. But I was listening to a podcast, and this really reframed how I view my goals. Because for example, I look at how many clients I want to have every single month. And obviously, like, if I hit that amount of clients, I would hit my monetary goal. But this guy, he has had $5 million of business every single year, yada, yada, yada. Like, one of those guys where usually I wouldn't listen to their podcast because it just overwhelms me. And I feel like it's so of the world. And it's something I've had to reframe, is that making money isn't a bad thing. And I think that's where Nathan has kind of pushed me to. He's like, you can have like financial goals and that isn't a bad thing. But to me, like, that almost feels sinful. And I don't know if that's like how I grew up, or obviously, like, there's nobody in specific to blame of this. I just don't really know where that stemmed from, but it's almost like this guilt, like that I should, because I've been blessed with so much, I should just give freely at minimal cost, because I have been obviously like blessed throughout my entire life. My family was very supportive financially. And so I don't know if that is kind of part of it, of like, I feel this like need to give because I've been given too. And so I've really avoided making financial goals. But he was talking about how when it comes to your big goals, you should double it. So if you know how much you want to make this next year, you need to double it, because it's going to push you to work harder if you have a higher financial goal. But coming back to like how many clients I would like every single month. Now, the part about working with clients that I love is I love to be booked, in a sense of I know that is just that many more people I'm helping. That is really what it comes down to. But if I want to get to that amount of clients, I need to have 3 to 4 daily non-negotiables for my business that I do. So for me, that looks like posting on Substack, or at least writing on Substack almost every single day of the week, sending that out through email. I know that people want to connect. They want to know you deeper. They want to not just be sold to, pitched to. I don't like doing that either. They want to create a relationship with you. And one way people feel like they're doing that or can do that is through reading long form content. So I'm posting on Substack. Also, once a month, I'm writing in our local newspaper. And I have a couple other connections I've made to either write in a newspaper or write on like somebody else's email blog that they send out. And so writing is one of those things. I need to write almost every single day so that I can build relationships with people, right? I want people to trust me and like me, and it's fine if you don't like me, but I just want people to feel like they know me and know what I do. Other piece of that is posting on social media. That is honestly where I get a lot of my clients, and not a lot of my clients. I would say probably 50% of my clients come from social media, but also I've been able to work with incredible brands through social media. Jackson's Potato Chips is actually one that I made money from posting for like this last year, which it was insane. Like what people will pay you to just make a potato chip recipe. Anyway, so doing more things like that come from me sharing on social media. People need to know what I do. Again, coming back to that. Also, the podcast would be a piece of that every single week. I need to be consistent with posting a podcast episode, not just because I want to sell to you. It's obviously not why, but I want to provide value to you. People want value. And so much of what I share, I honestly don't feel like on social media I even pitch myself or talk about what I'm doing that much, because I don't like doing that. But I also know that people want value, and they don't just want to be told, hey, buy this and then I can help you. No, provide some sort of value for them. And that's what I do with the podcast. I also am able to connect with people. And then the fourth or third, I guess, I don't know, if not really counting, thing that I want to do is reconnect with people, reconnect with past clients, connect with current clients, connect with other business professionals that are doing things that I admire, build relationships through having different guests on the podcast, utilizing relationships and referrals to build my business, and not in a way that feels like you're using people. If you listen to my podcast episode called Be a Doer, I talked about that. Have mutual respect for each other when you connect with people. Don't just want something from them, but see, how you can also help them and they can help you, and have it be a relationship. That has been a really big thing. I honestly think why I felt at peace over this since the new year started is implementing my 3 daily non-negotiables, 3 to 4. Other days of the week, maybe there's more, but consistently day to day, writing, reconnecting or connecting, and posting. And those 3 things, I know in the past, they've proven to get me to my ideal client goal. And again, I don't want to say that and make you feel like, oh, well, I'm a client of yours. Like, am I just a number? Because that's so far from how I feel about you, or how I would feel about you if you were to become a client. But that is, Nathan was like, you are running a business, right? You're not running a nonprofit. You're not running a charity. You're running a business. And for the longest time, I've not wanted to put myself in that headspace, because it feels then like, I don't know, I just never want somebody to feel like they're just a person, that they're just a number when it comes to building a bigger business. I'm very big on relationships and intentionality behind what I do, and caring for people so deeply is like such a core value of mine, that I think I've avoided the whole business goal piece of that. But this year we're setting goals. We are celebrating when we hit those goals. Financially too, I think there's a lot to be said about like what you tell yourself you think you're worth versus what you want to maybe be worth. And in month to month, like I have kind of a number that for the last year I've pretty consistently hit, which is incredible. And I don't say that like as in bragging by any means, but twice as much as I ever thought I would make doing what I'm doing. It's just things like that, or any other job I've ever had. And so I'm like, okay, I've consistently this last year, that's incredible, but now I've in my brain, that is my expectation. I need to raise it. And it's less about even the financial gain, because a piece of what I want to do in my business is actually tithing. I want to be giving more, and tithing from to our local church, because I know that when you give a percentage of your income every single month to the Lord and what He wants to do, you receive so much back in return, not financially necessarily, but just by seeing what the local church is able to do with that, or just seeing how God moves. And so tithing is a big piece of that. And also I would love to get on, I'm blanking on what it's called, but to get involved in our church and going to visit people in the nursing home or people that have family in the hospital. There's a name for it and I can't think of it, but I would love to do that this year after Oliver turning 1. I think that would be a good time, a little less need and dependency on me, and I can do things outside of the house that also serve my community and church. And so anyway, kind of like a long spiel on things that I want to do when it comes to my relationship with the Lord, but that would be 2 of them. One of them stems off of obviously my business goals. And then I also am trying to get back into actually reading scripture. I am on TikTok so randomly, but I was scrolling through videos and these girls were talking about how they study the Bible, and I was so convicted. I'm like, I'm so lukewarm when it comes to that. I feel like a lukewarm Christian, and I don't like that. It doesn't feel good, but for a long time, it's like been so selfishly driven, my goals, my desires, my day-to-day life. And I also think like when it fit in, I'm like, when the heck does this even fit in? And so I was always trying to force myself to get up early and get, in my Bible and start studying. And then I was like, that time just like doesn't really work for me. It had always worked for me in the past, but now it just does not work, and I'm not consistent because it's not a good time for me. I'm not very often getting up before Oliver wakes up, and so it wasn't working out. So now I do it before I go to bed. So I have my red light on, I have my Bible, and then I have a journal that I got, and I am going through the book of Job. I asked on my Instagram what some of your guys' favorite books of the Bible were, and that was like a very common one, which is kind of funny because it is not the most encouraging, at least in the beginning parts of Job, to be reading through. A lot of terrible things happening to him in his life. But what I've then been writing out is characters within the book of Job, in their relationship with Job, who wrote the book, and then going verse by verse, like what happened to him, who was he close to, and just like trying to understand the people of the Bible and their story versus trying to understand the Bible as a whole, because that's when it gets really overwhelming. So I'm like, okay, I'm focusing on Job. What happened to him? Well, he lived in Uz, maybe is how you'd pronounce it. He had, 7 sons and 3 daughters. He had a wife. He had 3 friends that sat with him while he was going through the worst of the worst. And God sent Satan God didn't send Satan. God had told Satan, hey, have you ever thought about Job? He is a faithful servant, and God really didn't believe that he would ever turn on him. And Job didn't deserve the things that were done to him, but Satan sent awful things to happen. Anyway, I don't need to get too much into it, but just understanding like, this is him, this is his life, this is the full picture, this is his job, this is what he did, and then seeing how things unfold. And by doing that, it just is like creating such a clear picture versus let me open the book of Job and I'm just going to start verse 1 and read all the way through. I need that pen and paper aspect. I need to be writing out what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing, like what I'm feeling, highlighting things that stood out to me, questions that I have, and getting it on pen and paper. Because I do have questions of like, God is a good God, but why would he even mention Job to Satan? Like, why would he put one of his children in harm's way almost? And I'm maybe not saying that correctly, and then Satan sent all these terrible things on him. And so there's a lot of questions that I think go much deeper than just obviously the superficial, like, oh, his life unfolded like this. Why did that happen? But why did God allow that to happen? Or did God have to mention Job? Like, why did he not protect him from the wrath of Satan and things like that? And maybe you have the answer and I'd love to hear it, but it's just making me think a lot deeper about what's going on. So that is something else that has been really helpful, and I think also contributed to just the peace that I'm feeling right now this month. Very grateful for it. So that is kind of the full layout of how I've set goals this year. Another piece of this, which I started the podcast episode talking about, was hobbies. Hobbies I maybe want to start or just integrate into my day-to-day, and where does that fit in? When you add anything in, you have to think about if there's anything that needs to be removed or if there's any habits that can be stacked. I'd encourage you to think about it that way, because when you look at like, okay, I need to add in 10,000 steps a day and I need to eat 130 grams of protein and I need to yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, where does that fit in? And for me, I'm like, okay, I need to critically look at my day. Where am I wasting time? Where can I add something else in? For example, like the Bible study that I do in the evenings. That did not work for me in the mornings. It didn't work and I couldn't make it work, so I needed to adjust when it occurred. And I don't think you need to do a lot of things. I think you can do a few things really, really well, which is what I implement with my clients, my one-on-one clients. Most women I work with are moms, or they are wanting to be moms. And so it's critical that we look at your day and we get really specific on what you're going to fill it with and make sure that what you're doing is actually moving the needle and is full of intention. And that's why I just must love puzzles, because it's all kind of like a puzzle of seeing how things work together. And it's what lights me up. And so a big piece of what I'm also implementing going into the new year that I'd encourage you to do. Something obviously that I just want to mention because it's what I do and it's what I love. But if you're entering into the new year and you're like, okay, I want specific goals or I want body specific goals, maybe you want goals that are specific to what's actually happening inside of your body or what your metabolic type is, or if there's any supplements that you've been taking, but you're kind of like, I don't know if they're actually doing anything. Blood work and HTMA testing. HTMA is your hair sample. Are pieces that I just could not recommend enough. I'm actually, speaking of goals, writing down right now as we're talking. I want to and need to get new blood work done. Last time I did it was in July, I believe. So I want to get some updated labs done at 6 months. That would be 6 months from now. And I'm also going to be testing for the MTHFR gene. That is a new add-on I've been able to run with clients, which is so insightful to seeing how your body is utilizing folic acid, or if it is, or what forms of B vitamins you need. I always think methylated, but it can impact so much more than that. This is a tangent, but I have a client, or had a client, that I actually was looking at her blood work, and she had got tested for that. And she's like, I have all of these issues that have never been able to be explained. And then I heard about this MTHFR gene, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I have it. And we were able to confirm she has it and draw so many conclusions to the root cause of many, many other issues happening for her. And so not many, there wasn't that much, but just other things that were showing up through blood work. And so I want to test that for myself to see if I have like the double variant or just single variant, and see how my body is functioning on a cellular level as well. I'll be redoing my HTMA test, which would show heavy metal exposures, and just make sure that, because I'm breastfeeding, I want to make sure that my mineral status is where it should be. Sodium and potassium ratio is increased, and then I would like to see my metabolic rate also increase. I was a slow one, and of course I'd like it to be more efficient than that, and I feel like it is, just with how my body is utilizing food. So I'm doing all of that testing, and I share that with you because it's a goal. I think once a year, twice a year, to have some sort of functional testing done it's really changed my life. That's why I share it with you. It's why I spent thousands of dollars to be able to run these tests. It's not just so that I could make money off of running these tests, but it's because I saw their impact and need, and now I'm able to do that with you. And it's really fulfilling to be able to find the root cause. And something I'm consistently convicted of, yes, Bailey, you can find the root cause, but we can't always identify the why. And that's really a tough pill for me to swallow, but something that I'm trying to have more peace with in the new year, because I work with women on preconception health, or women that are trying to conceive, and we can find the root cause of maybe why it isn't happening. And I would never even imply why it isn't happening, right? But maybe some factors that are leading it to not occur. And then through that, I'm like, but why? Like, they're eating well, they're doing the things, they're taking the supplements. Why is this not happening? And I have to just trust, the Lord's plan with their life. And I can't play God. As much as I would love to have control, I can't play God. I'm not God, not even relatively close. And so it also is like very, I guess, convicting, there's no better word, to be able to look so internally at what's happening in somebody's body, but then not think that I can play the role of God, right? And instead of like, this is what I can tell you, this is what I think you need to do, but ultimately, like, I can't assure anything. And that's really hard and very humbling, but it's just the truth. So I share all of that just because if you're interested in getting testing done, my books are pretty full for January and February, but I would love to just talk to you about what testing looks like if that's something you're wanting to do, and get you started, because HTMA testing is taking like 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks to get results back, which much longer than I would hope, but things that if you're wanting to have direction in the new year, I just couldn't recommend it enough. So let's go ahead and close today's episode in prayer. So dear Lord, just thank you for today. Thank you for whoever is listening to today's episode. And I just pray that they are feeling so at peace with their life right now, that they are feeling content in the plan that you've mapped out for them, and that they just trust your desire and plan for their life. I pray that as they listen to this episode, they're feeling encouraged and inspired to really just take care of their whole body health on such a deeper level, and that they have the people in their corner or the people that they can connect with to accomplish that, just so they feel good and feel confident. I pray for their safety and whatever they are going through, if they are mourning, if they're celebrating, if they are struggling, if they're hitting rock bottom, or if they feel like they are just at peak life right now, that they just continue to lean on you through the good, bad, and the ugly, and that I continue to lean on you through the good, bad, and the ugly, and that I'm able to be consistent with the goals that I've set for myself this year, personal, physically, and business-wise, but most importantly in my relationship with you, and cultivating such a deep relationship and feeling like you are there, and having just a relationship with you. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for the weather you've sent our way in this winter, and I just again pray over everyone listening, each woman or man that is listening today, and whatever is on their heart. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so if you're interested in following along with my life outside of the podcast, you can find me at Nourish with Bailey on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, but also if you want to connect through my website or email, that's always linked in the description of each episode. So with that, I will talk to you again next Thursday. Bye.